Howdy, welcome to another episode of Making Dough Show, where we're obsessed about helping you make some dough, and not only that, keep it here in the restaurant business. Today, we're going to talk about how to handle customer complaints the right way. At least the right way we've defined in our restaurants, in hopes that it'll help you come up with your own protocol for your establishment, a system that you can use to train your people to handle these customer concerns and turn them into loyal guests. This has been a series we've been covering here in Making Dough Show, and we've been talking about common customer complaints in the restaurant industry. We talked about how to turn every complaining customer into a loyal guest. We talked about the art of handling customer concerns. That's a necessary step for what we're going to be talking about today, which is the science almost, right? I'm going to go over a 5-step process in handling any customer concern in your establishment. But I really think it's critical to get the art as well right. So I'm going to have the link to that video below as well. Please check it out, because the art without the science and the science without the art will not work. In that show, I talked about some critical things: how to buy time, how to control the conversation. And also we talked about how to calculate the lifetime value of your customer. So again, please go check out that show. The link is down below. So the right way of handling customer concerns in your establishment means that at the end of it, there is a win-win, that the customer won and they're satisfied, and your restaurant got to win and is satisfied. So just being quick to issue refunds does not mean that the business wins, right? The customer may win that way, but you won't. And so that's not really what I'm saying the right way. So I wanted to clarify, when I'm saying the right way, what I mean by that at the end of it, there is a win-win. Another approach you need to have as a business owner is that you will always win, because no matter what kind of issue comes your way, or a complaint or any concern, you will learn out of that experience. You will go back to your operations and try to get better. And so you always win a little bit in that way if you apply it. I'm trying to put a positive spin on a negative situation no matter what. Now, the step number 1 in handling customer concerns is this: we must calm the customer and make them feel heard. And so you're asking me, fantastic, how do we do that? And that is to lead with gratitude. So when the customer is calling and maybe they're like, I want to talk to a manager, and you get on the phone to, see what the issue is and how you can help, they're going to rant on about an issue that they've had, right? The server was this, or the food took so long, and all of that. So you let them speak so they feel heard. And then afterwards, you start by saying, first off, I wanted to thank you so much for ordering from us tonight or yesterday, whenever the issue was. And I wanted to thank you for letting us know and giving us this feedback and giving us an opportunity to make things right. As well, you always want to assure the customer. You want to tell them, ma'am, I'm going to do my absolute best to see what we can do to make things right. I'm going to fix this issue, so just to make sure, blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense? You assuring the customer and leading with gratitude is the first step in handling customer concerns, because that will put the customer at ease. I went into more depth as to how to do that in the art of handling customer concerns. So I'm going to have the link down below for you. Once we were able to calm the customer, leading with gratitude especially, is time for step number 2. Step number 2 is to gather intel and understand what was the customer's expectation and what did we deliver, and where was the gap in the expectation kind of a level that was between the customer and what we delivered. How we gather intel also, it needs to be artfully done, asking a series of questions. So once again, in step number 1, we thanked the customer. We assured them we're going to do our absolute best to make things right. Is going to be, ma'am, in order to help you out, I really need to pull up your order. May I please have the name on the order? May I ask what you had ordered? You're able to pull that information up, but you still want to ask a series of questions to ask, so the customer can explain exactly what was the issue. As well, when you are asking these questions, you are buying time. You're able to listen to the tone and pull up the order, look up the history of that customer. If you've heard of them, we all know very infamous, we all have some infamous customers that we serve, that maybe there is a pattern of behavior with this customer, and buying time is incredibly important. We talked about, again in a previous show, how it's important to gather that intel like a CIA agent and not like an FBI agent, where the customer feels that they're being interrogated. But you're being very soft and calmly handling the issue, asking these series of questions to identify the problem. a lot of times if a customer is calling to take advantage of your restaurant, when you ask more and more specific questions because you want to get to the bottom of the problem, ultimately that's what you're trying to do, and ask more tangible questions. Okay, so may I ask what it was in this? So are you saying that whatever, and you're writing those things down? When a customer is lying, that never happens, but 1 out of 10 million, when that happens, you're able to catch a liar because you're able to say, no, I placed the order at 5 o'clock and I got it at this time. As they're talking, you're writing those informations down. And someone who lies, they're gonna kind of trip and forget what they said before, and you're like, ma'am, however, you told me that it was gonna be this. Is that what it was? You said that you didn't want that. It happens to us all the time. I mean, not all the time. Sometimes it happens. The customer's like, no, I really don't want this to be this way. And then we put that on the ticket and the customer receives the order. They're like, no, I wanted it that way, right? So you need to be very good at asking those clarifying questions to identify if someone's trying to take advantage of your business. Another way to clarify the information that you're gathering in this gather intel phase is to kind of repeat back to the customer and simply say, ma'am, I want to make sure I'm understanding well. You're saying that you placed your order at this time, you wanted it to be this way, and it was that. Is that correct? So you want to make sure that you're understanding that customer well. So those are some of the clarifying questions. Repeat back what you understood. That also communicates to the customer that you are a professional, that you really care to make sure that you fully understand what the problem was. Again, this is part of the assuring part. The art of it is that is one of the ways you repeating back to the customer what you understood. Step number 3, after again you calm the customer, you were able to properly gather intel as to what went wrong, is to apologize about this issue and communicate how you will make things right. No matter what happened, no matter who was right, who was wrong, and what was the context, we were mobbed busy and we only had 2 drivers on the shift, which is all irrelevant information for a customer who's paying you, giving you, again, money for a service. It's important to apologize about the inconvenience. At the end of the day, we kind of ruined it. We ruined their night. And the meal that we're going to have on June 21st, year this, right? That's the meal they chose to have at your establishment. Ultimately, you're going to be communicating what you will do to not lose this customer, because you understand the lifetime value of a customer we talked about in a previous show, again, and that the art of it. Because when I know that a family brings in about $600 a year to our establishment, I'm going to be really masterful in handling it, because I don't, I may let go of $20, maybe give them a customer credit for $20 and win them and make sure I don't lose the $600, or for them to go blast us on social media that we really poorly handled their issue, and then and that review is going to be permanent, as you know, and then you're going to have that review is there for hundreds, if not thousands of people to see in the future. That is going to cause your business to lose way more money. I also would like to communicate to our customer what we're going to be doing internally in a very vague way to assure them that, when I'm receiving a feedback from a customer, they're able to know, well, I will address this issue. I make sure we have a training session. I'm going to talk to our kitchen manager about this to make sure it doesn't happen. So the customer is knowing that the feedback that I am giving to this business, they do care about my feedback. So it's not just, if you're just quick to issue a refund, they won't actually feel heard, because they think, oh, you just want to give me money and be done with this, right? Versus if I'm able to communicate to them internally without saying names, or just kind of being slightly vague in terms of what it is that we're going to do. Thank you, for your feedback. I'm going to make sure I do this and this and that. I'm going to have a conversation with the servers involved to make sure this doesn't happen again. Those are all part of assuring the customer that we're masterful at handling these issues and we really care about them. Another tip that I have for you when it comes to resolving a customer issue in this phase of what it is that you're going to do to make things right is to give the customer options. You can, whenever, because that way they feel like they're in control, that they've chosen the path to reconcile this relationship. So, but it's in a controlled way. So for example, they're telling you what it is. You're like, ma'am, I'm able to give you a customer credit for this much. We can resend the order out to you. Or if you would like, I can issue you a refund and this. So you're able to give them options. So maybe if it's at the table in the dining room, I'd be happy to, issue you a refund on this order. If you would like, I'd be happy to remaking that order for you, right? So you give the customer multiple options so they feel that they are in control, reconciling that relationship with your establishment. Step number 5, once we've resolved the issue, is to do what you said you will do. One, again, if you were to issue a refund, you need to take 5 minutes to make sure you actually do it. Send the customer a picture of the receipt, or a lot of times from your POS system, you can send a customer a message as well. And investigate exactly what happened so you can coach the team members involved. Things need to be documented in your logbook with the customer information, the actions you took, and all of that story, so in the future you can refer to it. One of the approaches that we've had recently is that we don't try to nickel and dime our customer and be a little bit more generous with the customer, but be sure that we're taking measures internally in terms of, for example, if a team member was involved in any of these issues, or delivery took so long, or somebody was rude and things like that, the team member will get a written coaching slip and it goes into their file. So we're funding their education. So I'm going to give the $20 and be generous to the customer, give them a $20 refund, but I'm going to make sure the team members involved are getting coached, and things are being documented. We're keeping track of the refunds we're giving and justifications of them, because again, we're funding our team's education. And I'm just going to remind you, you don't want to lose the $600 over nickel and diming over the $20. Now, we covered a step-by-step process, a simple one. You need to expand on those and come up with your own protocols and scripts, and come up with role plays for your team. Question of the day: what are your current protocols when it comes to handling customer concerns? And do you think that you are currently, on a scale of 1 to 10, how consistent are you in your team providing those protocols to your team? We have gone through a season, we've realized, oh wait, this person handles complaints this way, that person does it this way, and we've have to review our trainings, our protocols ourselves in the last month. So as you know, there's always work to do in this business, just like a garden. It is endless, Thank you so much for tuning in. I wanted to tell you that in the next episode, we're going to be talking about 5 practical tips as to how to reduce some of these guest complaints. I'm going to be very practical in that next episode. Be sure to subscribe so you do not miss a future show. And if you are tuning in from podcasts, any of the podcast platforms you're tuning in to Making Dough Show, I'd greatly appreciate it if you would leave us a review. And with that, let's get back to work and make some dough. Thank you. Bye-bye.